Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Alana DeGrasso with Business Communication Mastery Show Me the Money lecture. So welcome to part one of this lecture. You know what? When we think about this aspect of digital sales and how we can use our businesses to really create engagement, traction, and action, and more importantly, sales, we recognize that we have to think differently about how we move forward. And, a lot of times when I speak to audiences, a lot of them tell me they feel completely overwhelmed with everything. And they are aware that trends are truly changing. And this is in every industry, whether I'm speaking to executives from Fortune 500 companies around their specific industry challenges. One of the major denominators is the fact that the internet, the use of online consumption has completely changed the way many industries are working. And a lot of them are thinking, well, what can I do to remain distinctive and innovative? So I hope that as you are in BCM, that you start to open your mind and think about the new opportunities that exist for what you are eventually going to create. So a lot of individuals say that we live in a Web 2.0 world. A lot of researchers kind of talk about this. And today I want you to focus on a couple of things in this week's lesson. I want you to think about the kind of the momentum that's happening online and how people online are using the internet to find solutions to their challenges. Number one, 87% of shoppers today use some form of e-commerce. Number two, 1.92 billion people will buy something online in 2019, and 51% of Americans would rather shop online. Three, only 26% of the small business market has tried to create their own online e-commerce store. This is huge because if only 26% of the small business community is using online tools, that means you have a big opportunity to do something different, a huge opportunity in a lot of industries. Even if there are major competitors, there's probably not that much engagement around social media. So you really want to take time to do research to understand what potentials exist for you out there. How do you do that research? Well, start playing around and looking online to see what kinds of services people are offering online, to see what looks credible to you, what doesn't look credible to you. Really use this time of additional incubation to really get to know what's going on in your market. I know a lot of times when I meet with new entrepreneurs, it's like they want me to give them a magic pill called success. And truly, there is no magic success pill that I can give you. You really have to be the one at the forefront of what you're doing, going out there to see where the gaps are. And in order for you to do that, you can look at sites like, for example, you can look at business associated sites. You can look at the Small Business Association and look at the trends, or even look at the United States Department of Labor and look at the trends in your given industry. You can also look at trade journals pertaining to your industry to really understand how are these businesses, whether it's B2B or B2C, how are these businesses using the internet to shift what's happening in their particular industry. And then number four, 72% of e-commerce will take place on a mobile device by 2021. That's huge. So, if only 26% of the small businesses are using online mediums to engage with their audiences, and by 2021, 72% of individuals will be making purchases online. My question to you is, are you ready to also adapt into a Web 2.0 world? Because we cannot conduct business, even moving forward, with the old traditional model of engaging with the customer. It was kind of like you presented a product and you told, you invited your friends over, or maybe, you went out and you kind of shared a couple of your flyers or your banner. Those tools do work. However, they don't work without some type of engagement with the use of online media. So you really want to think about this as we move forward. And in our first couple of weeks together, I mentioned that, as entrepreneurs, for you to think about all the digital doorways that exist, ebooks, on-demand videos, tutoring, consulting, speaking, the fact that we're in an internationalization aspect of how we relate now is huge. So again, we're not just talking about people in your city or even in our given states. We're talking about people around the world that potentially could use what you have. And start small. Think about some of these tools and what you potentially could do with some of these tools moving forward. So there really are a lot of people out there, and as I would say, a lot of audiences that really fit your niche or your target profile, as we like to call it. And your job in the next couple of weeks is to really, really be clear about identifying those individuals and being very clear about that demographic you mentioned in your why, and being very clear about how you could potentially offer them your solution. So we always talk about a blueprint. It's the foundation. Some people do start businesses with their fingers crossed. It's the worst model to have. They cross their fingers and they just launch out without thinking about some of these things I'm talking about. And I would caution you not to do that. A lot of times people get to this point and they say, oh, I got what I need, so I'm going to go and launch myself out. Well, you don't want to launch yourself inappropriately. And I know there are tons of get-rich-quick scheme things out there that promise you to make a gazillion dollars in 90 days. I just want to tell you, hey, when you take time to customize what you're doing, it will be solid, it will be yours, and you will feel completely full of joy by using your own model, your own blueprint. No one will be able to necessarily take that from you. So remember, what you have to offer, you want to think of a unique way you can offer it. The fact that it is valuable because you have some experience within it. I want you to remember that your service is worthy, and you can remove the I am not worthy syndrome from your discussion. So how does that happen? Sometimes people, they will, if they're new to business, they will start to do things like laugh while they're talking about what they intend to do. They start looking all over the place like they're uncertain about their own credibility. You want to take time to really craft and understand your own blueprint. No one will know it like you. You know, when an architect puts together the renderings before a building goes up, he's certain that he's taken the measurements necessary. He's certain that he's thought about how many rooms will be there. He's certain that he's thought about all of the resources that he needs. This is why I want to remind you that even when you have started with the my why, you're still at the very beginning of the foundation, because that's just the beginning. Now we're digging a little deeper, and we're going to be thinking about what you can potentially offer. So yes, this could be with regards to a service or maybe even a product, what you can potentially offer that really would align well with the audience that you say you want to help. So yes, it's time to fish. And you know what? Remember, this whole process is like a theater pyramid. You know, every good story starts off with the background information to let you know what the characters are about. Then there's a rising action, and that's where we see different plot points happening throughout the whole story. Then there's a climax, and this is where you know that person is really driving in the fact that they might need your service because they just can't take it anymore. They just can't take the pain that they're going through because they're going through financial debt, or because their relationship has ended and they can't think that they can move forward, or they got a diagnosis they were not expecting. But then they come along and they find your service or product or whatever it is that you're going to be doing, and they feel like, wow, I think I can work with this person because they're giving me the tools I need. So you're going to have to find ways to be creative. Every entrepreneur does. There are some times when people make decisions that don't seem linear. And what I mean by that is, yes, a health and wellness business may have a before and after picture of someone who's lost a lot of weight. But the person who ends up buying that product didn't just buy it because they need it. They bought it because there was something in their emotion that they connected to with that person from the before photo, and something that they bought into when they saw the after, meaning I want to be like that person. So I want to encourage you to think big about where it is you want to go when it comes to stepping into this Web 2.0 world. So remember, you're telling a story. There are going to be people that don't know you from Adam, and they're going to be strangers. And your role is to start to create some form of content that will allow some type of transformation with regards to their perception to change. You're giving them an opportunity to kind of learn from you. You're giving them an opportunity to say, hey, you know, you don't have to stay in this position all day long. And obviously they want to see results. So every single moment they have to engage with you, we call those touch points, you're building like and trust. So this is all building blocks. And you want to remove any chance of friction, which is why I'm so proud of many of you for getting very clear with your avatar, because you really want to pinpoint some of these key people you want to work with. So remember, essentially, you're creating what we call a funnel. And although we're not going into this deeply, this is more about your system, I just want you to have the vernacular down. You want to think social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Reciprocity. What are you giving and what are they getting in return? Scarcity. Why should they get it from you? Is there something unique that you're offering? Unity of goals and objectives, and consistency. So you really want to think about your mindset when it comes to building community. Some of you understand that because you understand, oh, I'm in a couple of Facebook small groups, but it's larger than that. It's about looking at all of the platforms out there, and we're going to delve more into that as we move into part 2. But I just want to get your mind thinking about this as we move forward. So again, entrepreneurship is not always linear. There's a lot of moving parts. And so it's okay if you feel overwhelmed right now, anxious, uncertain, and you're asking yourself, how do I begin? Well, I want to ask you these questions and pause us here. Number 1, answer this question. What am I committed to? So looking at your why is going to help you answer that question. Number 2, why does it get me out of bed? Entrepreneurship is not easy. You're really going to have some momentum for the highs and the lows. So you want to know, what is it that's moving you to solve that person's issue, to get those things going? How can you offer? How can I offer what I have? What are the potential services or ways that I can reach out to people? And I want you to brainstorm like crazy. I really want you to take time. Some of you easily like to do get-togethers. Some of you can do meetups. Some of you can do, having some kind of seminar or telesummit. All these things you can think about. And you want to ask yourself, what tools can I use to do this, right? We have Facebook Live, we do have Zoom, and we have GoToMeeting, and there's a ton of other tools that are out there that you can actually use. And then you want to ask yourself, how do I know where to find my target? So you really want to take time to think about these questions. This should not take you 10 minutes to do. You should, for every slide, have a good amount of notes and be able to really answer this question. And the last thing I will tell you is this. I want you to now start going out there and exploring other industries like your own. Look at the services they're offering, how they're providing it. Look at what appeals to you. Look at what does not appeal to you, and just have fun with it. You should have at least 2 or 3 examples. And then when you have come up with these answers, please share them in the BCM forum so that we can all learn from you. I'll be in the forums checking in on what you put and answering any questions you might have. Well, that's it for me today, and that's it for our lesson this week. Go out there and win. Bye, everyone.